reach me, my number is 706-653-5995.
Good morning, sound check, testing 1, 2. Mr. Mills, you are not connected to audio, so you might be able to hear me, but we cannot hear you. Good morning. Testing 1, 2. Sound check, testing 1, 2. Good morning, Peggy. How are you today?
Good morning, darling. Just fine.
Good, good. Zozo ready for court today?
She must be out getting a snack. She's not in here right this minute.
Love it. Love it. You want me? I'm allowing you to record now.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, ma'am. And we are live stream already.
Okay.
Mr. Mills, you're connected now. You got it.
Okay. We'll just say.
There should be, it's the last email I think we got. Should have been, yesterday's email.
Okay.
Is my Outlook open?
And I clicked on it, like this email comes up, but then I'm
Morning,
like,
Ian.
oh,
I think I pulled
I think you
but I
did
just
it.
got a large.
meeting is done.
Got it. It's on.
Okay, I just got to enlarge the screen.
Yay.
I think I looked up. Hold on. I got to enlarge the screen. Okay. All right. Now I got to enlarge it.
Do you think I can do it?
Oh, here we go.
Can I do that?
Yeah, you can. I got it. Yeah, I got it. Hello, Miss Liz.
Good morning, Deputy Burke. How are you?
We're blessed just like yourself. How you doing? Okay?
Fabulous day already.
Can't beat it with a stick.
Cannot complain.
Nope. It doesn't do you no good.
It doesn't do any good. That's right.
No. Right. Yeah, we just not too long ago got out of municipal court. We had to call up another inmate that was on a sexual offender situation, did fail to register. So it kind of took about 20, 25 minutes.
You are totally fine.
Okay.
You're ahead of time, in fact.
Oh, good. Yeah, I see it's just 9:58. It was, it was just one of those things to where, they wanted him down and we had to call him from his cell. So we would, other than that, would have been done by 45 minutes ago.
You are completely fine.
Thank you.
Okay, everybody, I just wanted, good morning, Mr. Johnson. How are you today?
Good morning to you.
I thought you had to go serve the country today.
I still do, but thankfully I don't have to do my briefing until later this afternoon. So I'm at the pleasure of the court at least for a few hours.
Okay, well, we'll try to rock and roll then. I'm gonna let Judge Smith know we're ready, everybody.
I am.
How long have you been?
14. Well, I've been in the military 14 years. Half of it's active and then the other half in reserves.
6 more and you can go ahead and get
Yeah. That's
Ain't
true.
bad. I ain't mad. I would have done the same thing because, like I said, back in '89, if I didn't get this job over there. Yes, you can go ahead and bring me in. And if I didn't get this job, I'd have been in '89. I was with the marshal's office for 31 years, so whew. And then I'm and then we all came with
Consolidate, yeah. I got no complaints. They treated me well so far.
It's good.
I had already talked with True and everything. I was ready.
Good morning. It's 10 o'clock. We'll begin with the arraignment dockets, beginning with my arraignment docket. Ms. Flournoy, will you call through the docket for us?
Probably want y'all to
Yes, sure. Yes, sure, I will.
audience.
Thank you.
Case number SU 2019 CR 4422, Frank Karen.
All right.
No entry has been filed in that case.
All right. Is Mr. Heron at the recorder's court or is he on the Zoom call? at the jail. Is Mr. Frank Heron there?
Judge Smith, the jail is muted.
Judge, I actually represented Mr. Herring at a probation revocation. I believe that he is still in DOC custody.
All right. Any way that we can tell that, Ms. Leonard?
Your Honor, I don't have any information at this point. I can check into it.
All right. Well,
Judge, I can check on that as well.
okay. I mean, as we go along, Ms. Leonard, you can check before we go to the next case.
Hey, Judge, it's Officer Lyles with probation. I just checked. He is in GDC custody.
All right. All right. Then let's
Oh, yeah.
let's move this arraignment to the next arraignment docket. And when would that be, Ms. Leonard?
That would be on April the 2nd.
Okay. All right. We'll move it to April the 2nd. Thank you.
The
Ms.
number
Flo-
you ready to proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. The number 2 case on the docket is SU 2020 CR 1564, Leonardo B. Walton. There's been an entry and a defense request from Mr. Guzman.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. Mr. Guzman with our office represents Mr. Walton. At this time, we'll waive arraignment, enter a plea of not guilty, and we will come pick up discovery from the state.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Ramondo. Now we'll go to Judge Maureen Godfrey's arraignment docket.
Your Honor, the number 1 case on that docket is SU 2019 CR 1305, Damian J. Barnes. There's been an entry and a waiver filed by E. Smith on March 10th, 2021, from my information.
Yes, ma'am. That is Mr. Smith with our office. We will waive arraignment, enter a plea of not guilty, and we'll pick up discovery from the state.
Thank you.
The number 2 case on the docket is SU 2019 CR 1697, Linwood B. Coat. Entry and a waiver filed by A. Morlock on March 10th, 2021.
And Your Honor, Ms. Morlock is with the Public Defender's Office. We will waive arraignment, enter a plea of not guilty, and pick up discovery from the state.
Thank you, Mr. Ramondo.
The number 3 case on the docket is SU 2019 CR 4774, Devon McQuarrie Wallace. Entry and a waiver filed by Ms. Morlock on March 10th, 2021.
Your Honor, we'll waive arraignment, enter a plea of not guilty, and pick up discovery from the state.
Thank you, sir.
The number 4 case is SU 2020 CR 2121, Don Dollar, and an entry and waiver on defense request has been filed by Ms. Morlock also.
And we will waive discovery, enter a plea of not guilty, and pick up discovery from the state.
Now, you didn't mean to say waive discovery, did you? You waive arraignment.
Yeah, waive arraignment. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Now we go to Judge Benjamin Land's docket.
Your Honor, the number 1 case on that has been closed as of March 10th, 2021.
All
The
right,
number
thank you.
The number 2 case is SU 2019 CR 4087, Jaquez James Johnson.
The docket indicates that Attorney Susan Henderson has made an entry of appearance and waived arraignment. Is that correct, Ms. Leonard?
Yes, Judge, that is correct.
All right, thank you.
I will note it, Your Honor. I didn't have it on my information. The number 3 case is SU 2020 CR 620, Jeremy C. Douglas. I have an entry and a waiver of arraignment from Mr. Michael Eddings.
Thank you. Mr. Eddings, are you on this Zoom conference?
Judge, he has not joined in yet, but I have a message to him, letting him know we are ready.
All right, thank you. Ms. Flournoy.
Okay, the next case on the docket is SU 2020 CR 2448, Jose Pintos. And I have no entry on that, Your Honor.
Any entry, Ms. Leonard?
No, sir, we have nothing.
All right, my docket indicates that he is not in our jail. Is Mr. Pintos there at the recorder's court?
Yes, he's coming up, sir.
Coming forward, John.
All right, thank you.
We'll let you know.
This is Mr. Pinto, John.
All right, good morning, Mr. Pintos. This is your arraignment date. Do you have an attorney?
What is an attorney? Are you represented by counsel, represented by any attorney?
Are you on my side?
Do you understand English?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right, do you have an attorney?
No.
No. Would you like to speak with the public defender and see if you qualify for their services?
No.
Are you going to hire an attorney?
Are you going to hire an attorney? Do you want to speak to a public defender?
No.
You intend to represent yourself?
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Pintos, this is your arraignment, where you have the right to have the charges against you read aloud in court. Would you like for the district attorney to read the charges to you?
Yes.
In fact, I think that's the only way we can do this. All right, Ms. Flournoy, if you can read the charges against Mr. Pintos to him.
Your Honor, he's charged with 1 count of criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Mr. Pintos, I'm going to enter a not guilty plea for you. You will need to go to the district attorney's office on the 3rd floor of the Columbus Consolidated Government Center to pick up the discovery in this case. Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, you're free to leave.
Superior Court. Right here. Not in this building. You got to go to 110th Street to the tall building. Go on the 3rd floor. Superior Court Clerk's office. Right now? Mm-hmm.
No, not the clerk's office, the district attorney's office.
District Attorney's office. I know what it's taking, Your Honor. You can go to the 3rd floor. I'll write it down.
Okay. All
That's
right.
not bad, John. Yeah, 3rd DA's office. District Attorney's office.
Number 4, I called.
That was
just called. Jeremy Douglas.
All right, Ms. Flournoy, whenever you're ready.
Okay. You make
Yes, sir. The next case is SU 2020 CR 3514, Arthur B. Long. There was an entry and waiver filed by Attorney Jackson on March 15, 2021.
All right. I see that Mr. Eddings has arrived at the jail. We've called one case, I believe, that belongs to you.
Yes, I believe it's the court judge, and I believe we filed a waiver for him, Jeremy Douglas, number 3.
Yes, that's correct. You did file a waiver in entry, Mr. Eddings. All right, thank you. Thank you, Counselor.
I'll stick around, sir.
All right.
You ready to
Ms.
proceed?
Yeah, yes, please.
The next case is SU 2021 CR 16, Rodney McCarter. No entry has been filed.
Do you have anything, Ms. Leonard?
No, sir, I do not.
We're calling this right now, y'all.
Rodney McCarty, is he there at the Recorder's Court?
We're calling his name as we speak.
Thank you.
No response on Mr. McCarty, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the state will move for a bench warrant and bond forfeiture.
All right. On the state's motion, the bond is forfeited and a bench warrant will issue, and we will recall this case before we adjourn for the day today. Thank you. All right, we will now move on to Judge Beeman McBride's arraignment docket.
Your Honor, it is, the first case is SU 2019 CR 3929. Tisha Huff, Mr. Attorney Ray Lakes to file an entry and a waiver on March 16, 2021.
All right, thank you, Ms. Flournoy. Now to Judge Ron Mullins' arraignment docket.
The first case is SU 2019 CR 3366, Jeremy Armitage. Entry and a waiver were filed on March 10th, 2021 by Attorney William Biddy.
Mr. Biddy is with our office, Your Honor. We will waive arraignment, enter a plea of not guilty, and pick up discovery from the state.
Thank you, Mr. Ramondo.
The next case is 2019 CR 3479, Kevin Walker. Mr. Biddy also filed an entry and a waiver on this one on March 10th, 2021.
Yes, sir, Your Honor. We waive arraignment, enter a plea of not guilty, and we'll pick up discovery from the state.
Thank you.
The next case is SU 2020 CR 2087, Deltrick Williams. It was a notice of appearance and a waiver filed by Attorney S. Thomas on 9/29/20.
Thank you. Is Mr. Siobhan Thomas on the Zoom call?
No, Judge, he is not joined.
All right. Thank you.
You ready to proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, please.
SU 2020 CR 2653, Dante T. Jones. Entry and a waiver was filed by Nancy Miller on August 25th, 2020.
Your Honor, Ms. Miller is with our office. We will waive arraignment, enter a plea of not guilty, and we'll pick up discovery from the state.
Thank you, sir.
The next case is SU 2020 CR 2908, Danny Baker II. On 9/22/20, an entry and waiver was filed by Attorney O'Melveny.
And Your Honor, Mr. O'Melveny is with our office. We will waive arraignment, enter a plea of not guilty, and pick up discovery from the state.
Thank you.
The next case is SU 2021 CR 92, Ronald L. Cobb. On January 27th, 2021, an entry and a waiver were filed by Attorney O'Melveny.
And Your Honor, we'll waive arraignment, enter a plea of not guilty, and pick up discovery from the state.
Thank you, Mr. Ramondo. Now we turn to Judge Bobby Peters' arraignment docket.
First case on that docket is SU 2018 CR 668, Keeley Press. Entry and a waiver was filed by the Public Defender's Office on March 1st, 2018.
Your Honor, we'll waive arraignment, enter a plea of not guilty, and pick up discovery from the state.
Thank you.
The next case is SU 2018 CR 668, Jetty Wilson Jr. Entry and a waiver was filed by Attorney Eddings on March 5th, 2018.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Eddings.
The next case is SU 2018 CR 3475 Quincy T. Wade. An entry was filed by the Public Defender's Office on March 15th, 2021.
Your Honor, we'll waive arraignment, enter a plea of not guilty, and pick up discovery from the state.
Thank you.
The next case is SU 2018 CR 3999 Teresa Benefield. An entry was filed by the Public Defenders on March 15th, 2021.
Your Honor, we'll waive arraignment, enter a plea of not guilty, and pick up discovery from the state.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Raimondo.
The next case is SU 2020 CR 1256 Tamara S. Morgan. An entry was filed by the Public Defender on March 15th, 2021.
We'll waive arraignment, enter a plea of not guilty, and pick up discovery from the state.
Thank you, sir.
SU 2020 CR 1256 Kevonte L. Walker. Entry and a waiver was filed by Attorney Eddings on January 15th, 2021.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Eddings.
Sure.
SU 2020 CR 2990 Edwin L. Boone Jr. An entry and a waiver was filed by the Defender's Office on 10/8/2020.
We'll waive arraignment, Your Honor, enter a plea of not guilty, and pick up discovery from the state.
Thank you, Mr. Raimondo. And finally, we turn to the arraignment docket for Judge William Rumor.
SU 2020 CR 2663 Michael C. Hall. You're not have no entry by an attorney.
He's present in the courtroom.
He's present in the courtroom, Your Honor.
All right, ask him to come forward, please.
Yes, sir. He's coming forward as right now. Stand right up here. Get the seat. There you go.
Good morning. Are you Michael C. Hall?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hall, today is your arraignment. Do you have an attorney?
I do not, sir.
Do you plan to hire an attorney?
No, sir. Cannot afford one.
All right. I'm going to continue your arraignment. Here.
Don't interrupt. Sorry.
No, if you have something to say, go ahead.
Thank you, sir. I do have a job, and I've been told I do not qualify for a public defender. So I guess I will be representing myself, and I would like to enter a plea of not guilty and arrange for discovery from the prosecutor, please.
All right. I'll enter a not guilty plea on your behalf. You can pick up your, first things first. You have the right to have the charges against you read out loud in court today. Would you like to have that done?
That'll be fine, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. All right, Ms. Flournoy, if you would read the charges that are pending against Mr. Hall.
Yeah, there are 4 different charges. Public drunk, list on disposition with serious offense, terrorist threats and acts, willful obstruction of law enforcement officers, and public indecence, first or second conviction.
All right. Did you hear and understand the charges that are pending against you, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. You can receive your discovery by going to the 3rd floor of the Government Center, the District Attorney's Office, and Ms. Flournoy will have your discovery available for you then.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Can I ask one question?
Yes, certainly. I don't know that I'll be able to answer it, but go ahead.
There was an incident that precipitated, or whatever the word is, my charges. And there's nothing been done to the gentleman that did that to me. And at no point has anybody investigated or anything this incident. And Yeah, I need to speak to the prosecutor. Maybe I can handle that in discovery. But my question is, do y'all know anything about the guy that attacked me with the bat before I made the threats at the officer and anything like that? I mean, is that at all in my case?
I couldn't tell you that. That underscores the importance of having an attorney, Mr. Hall. Did I understand you correctly that you have applied to the public defender, but they decided
they did not.
You earned too much.
They
You
did not.
You did not
That's
qualify.
accurate, Your Honor. He did not qualify for our services.
All right. Well, I can't answer your question. Now, I would encourage you to hire an attorney if you possibly can. Your case will come out on a docket at some point in the future. The district attorney may present your case to a grand jury at some point in the future. You will not know about that until you receive notice of your indictment. All right, but you're free to leave, Mr. Hall. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
SU 2020 CR 2729, Santonio L. Williams. No attorney.
All right.
I show a note, Your Honor, that on March the 5th of this year, the arraignment had been previously continued for Mr. Williams to hire Richard Hagler.
Ms. Leonard, has any attorney filed an appearance and waiver in this case?
No, sir, not yet.
All right. Do we have Mr. Williams downstairs at the jail? Can he come into the courtroom to be arraigned?
Right this moment, Your Honor, according to their personnel, they did not bring him forward based on those principles.
All right. His arraignment is going to be continued one more time to April the 2nd.
Okay. That's the information I got from the jail, Your Honor.
All right. So he does not need to come down this morning. He'll be on the docket for April the 2nd. Okay. If you would just hold for 1 second.
Yes.
Come on in if you need to. If that's
Say again,
you,
sorry?
Greg. I want to mute yourself.
All right. That concludes the arraignment dockets. We'll go to the guilty plea docket. Ms. Flournoy, whenever you're ready.
The first case on the docket is SU 19 CR 4513. That was completed on yesterday, on March 18th, 2021.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
The second case, Mr. Adrian Beasley, 19 CR 4621, has been passed because Mr. Kendrick is in trial.
Thank you.
Number 3, SU 19 4627, Roderick Alexander is a pass also, Your Honor.
Thank you.
The next case was Matthew Beal, 2020 CR 260, was completed on yesterday.
Thank you.
SU 2020 CR 295, Patrick L. Walker.
Your Honor, I represent Mr. Walker. He's number 5 and number 10. He's not entering a plea today. That's going to be a not guilty from Mr. Walker on those two charges.
All right, thank you.
Rather.
And that's true for position number 10 as well.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Thank you.
He's
All
present.
right. All right, he does not need to come into the courtroom. He's maintaining his not guilty plea.
Okay.
He'll appear on a trial docket. All right, Ms. Flournoy.
SU 2020 CR 307, Tony T. Battle.
Your Honor, can we call and see if he's present in court? I have a plea offer that I'd sent him and never heard a response regarding the plea offer. So
we're calling him right now, y'all.
Okay.
Thank you, Deputy.
Are you Tony Brown? Yes. Can you hear me okay? Are you Tony Brown? Okay. No response.
No response on Mr. Battle, Your Honor.
Well, Judge, this, so the court is aware, this is charged as a misdemeanor. I had informed Mr. Battle, of what the plea offer was. I sent it to him. I was under the impression he was going to enter a plea, and maybe he just didn't understand it, but it should be a plea. We just have to get him in court for this. It is charged as a misdemeanor, terroristic threats and acts.
All right. Are you asking that it be moved to the next guilty plea docket, Mr. Guzman?
Well, Your Honor, if there's space available on either April 7th or whatever the next plea date is, Judge, then yes, yes, sir.
All right. Ms. Leonard, do we have space on either of those days or both of those days?
Judge, we can move it to either April 6th or 7th.
6th or 7th. Okay, let's move it to the 6th of April.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes. Thank you.
Next case is issue 2020 CR 336, Christopher J. Mills.
Mr. Guzman.
Mr. Mills is present by Zoom there. My understanding, I had received some communication from Ms. Flournoy that she needed to review some driving history. So there's no plea offer at this time, but I do expect a plea offer on Mr. Mills after she's been able to review that history. And if we can reschedule that for either the 6th or the 7th.
All right.
That is
Well,
correct.
thank you, Ms. Flournoy. It'll be moved. This case will be moved to April the 6th.
Issue 2020 CR 379, L. Ricky Tennell.
Is he down? I know he's in jail.
Mr. Guzman.
Right. Your Honor, Mr. Tennell is in jail.
Do you need to see him?
He does have, he's got a VOP and a new case. I've spoken to him about an offer. I've had some preliminary discussions with Ms. Flournoy, and I expect to have I expect that the paperwork will be ready if we can move that to April 6th or the 7th for both the VOP and the new case that is number 8 on this docket.
All right. Ms. Leonard, do we have VOPs scheduled on both the 6th and the 7th?
Yes, sir.
All right, then we'll move this to April 6th.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case is issue 2020 CR 452, Kianya Spencer.
Mr. Eddings?
He's coming.
Thank you.
Yeah. Good morning, Judge. I represent Ms. Spencer. We're still finalizing the plea on that, Judge. We don't have the documents yet. The offer hasn't been tendered yet, but there's a new DA assigned to the case. The other DA is no longer here. So Ms. Flournoy was recently assigned to the case. So she's going to need just a little time to work it up and get us the information.
You agree with that, Ms. Flournoy?
Yes, Your Honor, I will be working on it to try to get an offer to him as soon as possible.
All right, we'll, Mr. Eddings, we'll move it to April the 6th for you.
Yes, sir. That's fine.
Thank you.
I'll get with you, Ms. Flournoy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Your Honor, the next case, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, number 10 has previously been announced is not guilty. We'll just go to number 11.
SU 2020 CR 743, Sherlyn Etter.
Your Honor, Ms. Etter, I've spoken to Ms. Flournoy about this. There's more than one case that Ms. Etter has. So I believe that Ms. Flournoy wanted to, and I both wanted to move this for a global offer on the multiple cases that she has. Just like I said, just one of them is on the docket for today.
You agree with that, Ms. Flournoy?
Yes, Your Honor, it will be wise to do a global offer on it and dispose of all of them.
All right, let's put it down for April the 6th. Ms. Leonard, you let me know when we get a full docket for the 6th, and we'll start putting cases down for the 7th.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Flournoy.
SU 2020 CR 1004, Hickey Horace Hickey, I'm sorry, Your Honor. That case will be placed on the dead docket, Your Honor, and I'll get the documentation to the court.
Thank you.
Documents.
Thank you. Thank you.
SU 2020 CR 1401, Yasmin Coranio.
Your Honor, this is Yasmin Coriano. She should be present there at the court. That will be a guilty plea. The court should have the prepared plea documents. So we should be able to proceed on that one.
We don't have.
All right. We do have them, Mr. Guzman. Thank you. We'll advise her in just a few minutes.
Ms. Coriano.
So you want her to go back and sit down until you call her?
Just ask her to have a seat, and in a few minutes I'll advise her and anyone else who's going to enter a guilty plea.
Just sit right, just sit right there.
SU 2020 CR 1508, Creona Y. Richmond.
Your Honor, I represent Ms. Richmond. There is a plea offer that was conveyed to Ms. Richmond. She has decided not to avail herself of that particular plea, and she wants to maintain her plea of not guilty.
All right, thank you. So Ms. Richmond maintains her not guilty plea, and she'll appear on a trial docket.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
SU 2020 CR 1589, Alexis Matlock.
Mr. Guzman.
On Ms. Matlock, I've spoken to Ms. Flournoy about this. I believe that Ms. Flournoy was going to ask to pass this particular case. So there's no objection from Ms. Matlock if she wants to ask for a pass on this case for today.
Your Honor, my understanding is that the defense has asked for an offer, and I have not had that time to prepare an offer in this case, so we would ask that it be passed for today.
All right, we'll do that. It'll be continued until April the 6th.
SU 2020 CR 1734, Carolyn E. Whittlesey.
Your Honor, I represent Ms. Whittlesey. There is a plea offer in this case, and I've attempted to communicate the offer to Ms. Whittlesey. I haven't had any success contacting her, so
Yeah, do you want to talk? Yeah, she's here in the courtroom.
Well, that's
Come on up then.
Well, the paperwork hasn't been completed, I presume.
That's correct. That's correct.
All right. Mr. Whittlesey. Mr. Whittlesey.
Miss Whittlesey.
Miss Whittlesey, your attorney has been trying to reach you. Do you know how to reach Mr. Guzman?
No, and he has my phone number. I emailed him.
Okay. Do you in fact have a phone number, Mr. Guzman?
I'm sure I do, Judge.
Okay.
If I do, those are the numbers that I would have attempted.
All right.
But
Do you want this defendant to come to your office now so that you can convey the offer from the state?
Or can he just call me because I have to be somewhere and I leave out of the courtroom?
All right, well, make sure to answer the phone when he calls you. Mr. Guzman said he had been trying to reach you.
I
I'm
have
gonna move,
one call.
I'm gonna move your case. I'm gonna continue until April the 6th to give you and Mr. Guzman time to discuss this. All right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Just stay in touch with Mr. Guzman.
Yes, sir.
SU 2020 CR 1852 Lehman B. Turner.
All right. I represent Mr. Lemon Turner. He's on by Zoom right now.
Yes, sir. We'll talk
I don't have an offer just yet, but I expect to get one from Ms. Flournoy. The court is aware Ms. Flournoy did get a lot of these cases, a little later, but we've been in contact. She has the list, and I do expect to actually have a plea offer on Mr. Turner. And give the court an announcement if you can set this for April 6th or the 7th.
Is that agreeable, Ms. Flournoy?
That is agreeable, Your Honor.
All right, this case is continued until April the 6th.
SU 2020 CR 1857 Fred Miles.
Your Honor, I represent Mr. Miles. In discussions with Mr. Miles, he wanted to obtain some prescription information for Ms. Flournoy. So at this point in time, I'll enter a not guilty plea on his behalf, and hopefully we'll obtain those forms for Ms. Flournoy prior to the next court date.
All right. Would you like for it to be set down, Mr. Guzman?
It would probably be good if we could set it down for a status conference on either the 6th or the 7th.
All right, let's set it down for a status conference on April the 6th.
Yes, sir.
SU 2020 CR 1974 Jason A. Horn.
Your Honor, Mr. Horn, it also appears that he has multiple cases, only one of which is on today's docket. He'd also asked me to just go ahead and enter a not guilty plea on this one case here today. That announcement, of course, may change once we get a global offer.
All right. All right, it's let's set it down for April the 6th for a status conference, and you may have an offer then.
Yes, sir.
By that time, Mr. Guzman. If not, we'll deal with it on the 6th.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
SU 2020 CR 1980 Mandy Tolan.
Your Honor, I represent Ms. Tolan. Is she in the courtroom? I have a plea offer, but she's another individual that we attempted to contact, Ms. Tolan, and just have not had any success contacting her.
We're calling right now, Mr. Booth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No response on the defendant, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the state will move for a bench warrant and bond forfeiture in light of the fact that the public defender has not had any contact with this client.
All right. Mr. Guzman?
No, Your Honor, I don't know where she is. So
All right. All right. Well, perhaps the sheriff's office can help locate her. So a bench warrant will issue and the bond will be forfeited, and she'll be recalled before we adjourn for the day.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, the number 21 case on the docket is Mr. Jackson, so that will be a pass.
Yes. Okay.
Number 22 is SU 2020 CR 2170 Sarah E. Tomlin.
Your Honor, Ms. Tomlin, I've discussed this with Ms. Flournoy. Ms. Tomlin is actually she's in Teen Challenge right now. She's currently in the program. And I received a letter from the administrator at Teen Challenge saying that she's doing really well. And I've forwarded that to Ms. Flournoy. My understanding is that she should be done at Teen Challenge in late April. So I was going to ask the court and see if we could reschedule this to May, one day in May, and she should be done by then. And we should have, whether she gets a certificate or some sort of completion, for her time at Teen Challenge, that may affect the plea offer. And so I would ask to move it for that purpose.
Your Honor, the state is not opposed to a continuance on this case.
All right, Ms. Leonard, what do we have in May?
Judge, we've got May 6th, May 7th, May 25th, and 26th.
Let's move it to May 25th, just to make sure that she has completed the program, and you and Mr. Guzman and you, Ms. Flournoy, have an opportunity to discuss the case. But it's all for today. Continue to May 25th.
SU 2020 CR 2521, Austin S. Dawson.
Your Honor, I also represent Mr. Dawson, and he should be there at the jail. But I just communicated a plea offer. There is a plea offer, and I did just communicate that plea offer today when he came over to my office. I was not able to get in touch with him until this morning. Of course, the paperwork has not been completed, but there is movement on this case, and he does want to enter a plea to the plea offer. If we could just get another court date so I can get that paperwork handled for Mr. Dawson.
All right, we'll continue. I'll continue this case until April the 6th.
Yes, sir.
She's present in the courtroom. I'll tell him it's continued.
All right. Just ask him to stay in touch with Mr. Guzman.
He just been advised and given information, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy.
The next case is SU 2020 CR 2930, Rena Cabrales.
Your Honor, Ms. Reina Cabrales is present by Zoom. That will be a guilty plea. The court should have those documents.
And we do. Thank you. So she'll be advised along with Ms. Coriano. Yes. Thank you, Mr. Guzman. All right, we have an add-on callback docket. Ms. Flournoy.
The number one case on that is Trindarius Thomas.
Yes, on that particular case, Your Honor, Mr. Jones had that case prior to Ms. Flournoy, and we were in the midst of negotiating, and he since transferred it to Ms. Flournoy, and there's still some adjustments that are being made to the offer. So we want to move it to the next April 2nd or April 6th, and it will be finalized by then.
Your Honor, the state is not opposed to a continuance in this case.
All right, we'll continue this one until April the 7th, Mr. Eddings.
That's fine, Judge.
Okay.
And I think that was the last one I had for today, Judge. If it's okay with the court, may I be excused?
Yes, sir. Have a good weekend, Mr. Eddings.
Have a good weekend, Ms. Flournoy.
We'll see you, sir.
Kadarius Leonard, SU 2019 CR 4890.
Your Honor, that was on yesterday, and Mr. Leonard was asked to return today. Our intention, after discussion with Ms. Flournoy, was that I was going to prepare a plea in absentia and get that sent over to Ms. Flournoy once Mr. Leonard signed off on it. We don't have any paperwork right now ready to proceed, but it is a misdemeanor. We could complete it prior to April 6th by plea in absentia if the court wanted to proceed in that manner. We just don't have the paperwork ready right now.
Is that acceptable to the district attorney's office?
Yeah, that is fine with the.
All right, let's do this. Let's continue this until April the 6th. That'll be some incentive to go ahead and get the plea in absentia done. Otherwise, we'll expect to see Mr. Leonard in court on April the 6th.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Nikki Mims, SU 2020 CR 2269.
We have paperwork.
Your Honor, on Miss Mims, we were ready to proceed with a guilty plea yesterday. And she was initially on Zoom, and then for an unknown reason, she left. And so the plea was not handled yesterday. I did communicate with her in the way that I've been able to communicate with her in the past, and told her that she needed to return today. So I don't know if she's in the courtroom. I don't think that she's on Zoom, although I did send her the link. But
all right, sound there, Recorder's Court for Nikki Mims, please.
We're signing off right now.
Thank you.
No response, John.
What would you have the court do, Mr. Guzman?
well, Your Honor, I would ask the court to consider moving it to April 6th or 7th. She was here yesterday. I just can't explain why she didn't stay online.
Okay. All right.
Your Honor, we have no, the state is not going to oppose a continuance, being that the fact that she was notified for yesterday and I did not seek a bench warrant yesterday, and there was a verbal notice today out of abundance of caution. We're not going to seek the bench warrant and bond forfeiture at this time. But if she does not appear on that date in April, we will be proceeding with that. If that's
All
okay
right.
with the court.
That's fine. Thank you, Ms. Flournoy. The case is continued until April the 6th. Mr. Guzman, you heard Ms. Flournoy saying that if she's not present on the 6th, the state may very well seek a bond forfeiture and a bench warrant. So I know you'll communicate that to her. Well, that completes the guilty plea docket. There are two cases that we can take guilty pleas in. That's Ms. Coronado and Reina Cabreras. Let me call through the VOP docket and see if there are going to be any other guilty pleas before I advise the two previously mentioned defendants. Let's go to the probation revocation docket, Ms. Flournoy.
Yes, sir. There. All right. The first case is Megan R. Moyer, SU 2018 CR 791.
All right, and she's represented by Mr. Jackson, so that case will need to be continued to April 6th.
The second case is Derek Ford, SU 18 CR 2859. And I believe it was moved because Mr. Johnson was supposed to be on a leave of court.
Well, Mr. Johnson, or a reasonable facsimile seems to be there at Recorder's Court. Is that you, Mr. Johnson?
It is, Judge. For the court's edification, I do have leave. That leave is most likely not going to start until about 1 o'clock today, so I avail myself of the court. Either way, Judge, I don't believe that we're going to be able to dispose of Mr. Ford's case this morning, Your Honor. So
All right.
Fast.
All right. I'm going to honor your leave and pass the case, put it down for April 6th.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
The next case is Al Ricky Tennell, and that has been previously continued as a part of the global offer on his charges, Your Honor.
So it does not need to be heard today, Ms. Flournoy?
That's correct, Your Honor. It's going to be part of the global resolution. We're trying to seek a global resolution of his case.
All right, thank you. It's off then.
The next case is Rufus L. Fitzgerald, SU 2019 CR 1922.
All right.
And Your Honor, I've reached out. I don't think Ms. Flournoy has been able to get me an offer on that case yet.
All right.
Is that accurate, or were you able to send me
No,
something?
I have not been able to make an offer as of now.
Okay.
We can,
All right.
I will agree to a continuance of it, Your Honor.
All right. It will be moved to April the 6th.
Batteries running low.
And the next case is Courtney Pickett. Your Honor, Mr. Jackson is in that case. And we're going to need to continue it, but it has been resolved, but we will still need to bring it before the court. But it will be a stipulated petition.
All right, thank you. We'll continue. I'll continue the case until April the 6th, Ms. Flournoy. Okay. The two civil forfeitures that are on the docket today have both been moved. SU 2020 CV 1410, Kawan Hall has been moved to April the 6th, and SU 2020 CV 2519, Brian Doswell, has been moved to May the 25th of 2021. So there is nothing to be heard from the probation revocation docket. Let's have the two defendants who are entering guilty pleas.
Your Honor.
Come. Yeah, yes, Mr. Guzman.
My apologies for interrupting. I just wanted to make sure that I do have one client named James Rodriguez. He's on for a status conference. He's on the status conference motions docket that you haven't gotten to yet, but he's the only one on that docket that will be a guilty plea also. And you should have the documents for Mr. Rodriguez. And
we do
in court.
President, the court wants, you want him to come up.
You let him know we're still in court.
Yes, have him join the other two defendants on the jail bench to be advised. Do you have any other paperwork? Nothing else. That seems to be all the packages we have for guilty pleas this morning. Let's go ahead and take care of these guilty pleas. Then we'll go to the motions and status conference docket. Okay. All right. I see two defendants. Where is our third defendant?
He's on Zoom, y'all.
That's James Rodriguez. That's James Rodriguez. Coronado.
Yes, sir.
All right. So it's Mr. Cabrales who is on Zoom. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's me.
That's you. All right. Good morning. All right. I understand all three of you wish to enter guilty pleas this morning. Before I can accept a guilty plea, however, I'm going to advise you of your constitutional rights so that when you come up individually to enter your guilty plea, you'll be doing so with an understanding of those rights. If you would each raise your right hand and take an oath to tell the truth. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that any testimony you may give in court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Now I'll need you to answer out loud. These
Yes.
proceedings are being taken down. You can put your hand down, but just answer out loud. Do you all swear to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. These proceedings are being taken down by the court's official court reporter. She'll have to hear your answers to record your answers. So be sure to speak up good and loud for me. Now, Is there anyone who is not a citizen of the United States among the three of you? Okay. Stated a different way, is everyone a U.S. citizen?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Now, do you understand that you have the right to plead not guilty and demand a jury trial, in which case you have certain rights? You would have the right to plead not guilty and demand a jury trial, in which case the state of Georgia must prove you guilty of each element of each offense with which you're charged beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you all three understand that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you. If you plead not guilty, the Constitution guarantees you at trial, among other possible rights, the following: the right to a speedy and public trial by jury, the presumption of innocence, the right to confront and to question the witnesses against you, the right to subpoena witnesses and evidence in your favor, and also the right to the assistance of an attorney. And if you could not afford the services of an attorney would be provided to you at no cost by the state of Georgia. Do you all three understand these rights?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
All right. You would have the right to testify and to offer other evidence at your trial, but you would also have the right not to incriminate yourself. Stated in a slightly different manner, you have the, if you wish to testify during your trial, no one can prevent you from testifying. On the other hand, if you do not wish to testify, no one can force you to testify, nor even mention that decision in front of a jury or otherwise hold it against you. Do you understand these rights?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Do you understand that if you plead not guilty or simply remain silent, the court would enter a not guilty plea for you and you would secure a jury trial with all of the rights that I've just outlined for you? Does everyone understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Do you understand that if you plead guilty, as I understand you wish to do this morning, you will be giving up or waiving those rights? Does everyone understand?
Yes.
Now, some of you will have as a special condition to your case, your probation, that you waive your rights under the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution. And the Fourth Amendment rights are very important, and I want you to understand what you're agreeing to give up. A Fourth Amendment waiver means the following: you would submit to a search of your person or property at any time of the day or night, with or without your consent, and with or without a search warrant whenever requested to do so by a law enforcement or a probation officer. It further means that anything that might be found or taken as a result of such a search could be used as evidence against you in any court proceedings. Do you all understand and agree?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Now, if you enter a guilty plea today in Superior Court to either a felony or a misdemeanor or a traffic misdemeanor, you have the right to file a writ of habeas corpus or a petition for a writ of habeas corpus, but there are time limitations. In the case of a felony, you must file your petition within 4 years of the date that your sentence in this court becomes final. In the case of a misdemeanor, you must file that petition within 1 year of today's date. In the case of a traffic misdemeanor, you have even less time, only 180 days from today's date to file your petition. Does everyone understand your habeas corpus rights?
Yes.
Okay. Although you may have signed a piece of paper saying that you do not have the right to appeal a guilty plea, in fact, you do. But to do so, you must file a written notice of appeal and file it with the clerk of the Superior Court of Muskogee County, Georgia, within 30 days of today's date. Does everyone understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
Just by a show of hands, do any of you own or possess a license or a permit to carry a weapon?
No, Your Honor. No, sir. No.
All right, fine, thank you. Let's go ahead and take Ms. Cabrales' guilty plea, then we'll come back to the other defendants. You can just have a seat there, and I'll call you up one by one in just a few minutes.
Okay. Let's have a seat over. Let's have a seat right down that front row. Just separate the courts.
All right, Ms. Flournoy, whenever you're ready with the factual basis for the charges and your recommendation, please.
Your Honor, this is a case of the state of Georgia versus Rena's Michelle Sabrales. Case number SU 20CR 2930. She's charged with one count of possession of a controlled substance. It's a felony. The recommendation is 2 years probation. Count 2 is obstruction of an officer. It's 12 months probation concurrent to count 1. Count 3 is possession of a drug-related object. It's our recommendation to null process that count. Special conditions is a $500 fine and a Fourth Amendment waiver. Your Honor, it is also, we agreed to that upon payment of the fine, she would be on unsupervised probation. Your Honor, the facts in this case are that the on November 14th of 2019, there was a call with regards to possibly location of a missing person. The person that made the call indicated there was a young female looking about 16 years old, an older man walking in the area of Walmart, Victory Drive in Columbus, Muskogee County, Georgia. And the male had gone in the store, the female stayed out, but the caller believed that they recognized the person as being a person that was missing. And that person was later identified as the defendant. When the officers arrived and approached her, the defendant will refuse to give her name. She indicated she was not a resident of the state and she did not have to give information. Several officers approached her asking for the information and she did not give that information. At some point, different officers were speaking to her, and at some point she was placed under arrest for obstruction of a police officer based on her refusals. And when they began, as a part of the placing her under arrest, they began a search of her bag, and in her bag there was a glass pipe, and also 2 small clear plastic bags. One contained a glassy type substance that was suspected methamphetamine, and the other one also was suspected methamphetamine. And the crime lab report indicated that it was confirmed that, and it was less than an ounce. I mean, less than a gram. So that's the reason why we're making the recommendation as we are, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Cabrales, did you understand the offer by the state?
Yes, sir.
And are you in agreement with that offer?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I hate to interrupt you, but I do want to state for the record that this case is represented by the Public Defender's Office, and I was previously employed by them. But from the information I have, this is a case that was taken on by the Public Defender's Office after my employment there, just for the record.
Thank you for that, Ms. Flournoy. just, Mr. Guzman, do you or your client object to Ms. Flournoy prosecuting this case?
No, Your Honor.
All right, so if there, even in the unlikely event there was a conflict, it has now been waived on the record. Thank you.
Yes.
I was going to ask you, Ms. Cabrales, other than the sentence recommendation, has anyone offered, promised, or given you anything in exchange for your guilty plea?
No, sir.
Has anyone used any force or any threat of force against you to secure your guilty plea?
No, sir.
Has anyone, have you been asked to read or sign anything in connection with your case that you do not understand?
No.
Have you ever been treated for a mental illness?
No.
This morning, are you under the influence of alcohol, drugs, narcotics, or any medication?
No, sir.
Are you clear-headed about what you're doing in court today?
Yes.
Is Ms. Cabrales eligible to be sentenced as a first offender? And if she is, does she wish to avail herself of such a sentence?
Yes, Your Honor. To both questions.
Mr. Guzman, did you say that she was eligible and she wished to be sentenced as a first offender?
That's correct, Your Honor. Yes, sir.
Okay, just a second. I'm looking at the package. I don't see that she has signed the documents necessary for a first offender sentence. Oh, it's not here. I have the Fourth Amendment waiver. I have the advice of rights.
Yeah, I can actually, she's been very quick about sending those documents back. If I can get those documents, or it's just that one page, I'll send it to her and she can send it right back to me. And she does definitely want to ask for the first offender.
All right. Will you do that, Ms. Cabrales?
Yes, sir.
All right. I'm going to sentence you as a first offender. If I don't get the documentation, the first offender status will not be applicable. But let me just on the record advise you of the advantages, which you probably already know, and some of the risks. The possession of controlled substance count carries a sentencing range of from 1 to 3 years in the state penitentiary. The obstruction of an officer misdemeanor carries a potential sentence of from 1 to 12 months in the county jail. The advantages to a first offender sentence are that you can, the advantages are that you can, at the end of your probation, truthfully answer that you do not have a felony conviction or a misdemeanor conviction from this case on your record, which may be helpful to you in securing or retaining employment or pursuing certain educational opportunities that might otherwise be foreclosed to you if you were a convicted felon. The risks are these, Ms. Cabrales, and I'm not in any way trying to dissuade you from seeking first offender sentencing, but I want you to know what the risk might be. If you as a first offender probationer violate the terms and conditions of your probation and you are later adjudicated guilty by this court, the court may impose any sentence which would have been permitted today for these offenses. That's why I want you to know the sentencing range on the controlled substance possession count carries a possible sentence up to 3 years. So if you were adjudicated guilty and resentenced, you could be sentenced to serve 3 years with the Department of Corrections in the state penitentiary. You would, however, receive credit for any time already served, either in custody or on probation against such a sentence. Do you understand that, Ms. Cabrales?
Yes, sir.
And with that understanding, do you still wish to be sentenced as a first offender?
Yes, I would.
All right. Then I will so sentence you if you get the paperwork to Mr. Guzman and he can get it to me. Now, I will point out at this juncture that as a first offender probationer, you may not possess a firearm. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Nor ammunition while you're on probation.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Now, did you hear and understand the advisement regarding the meaning of a Fourth Amendment waiver?
Yes, I did.
Thank you. All right. Ms. Cabrales, do you freely and voluntarily admit your guilt to these charges?
Yes, sir.
Do you admit the facts as alleged by the district attorney?
Yes, sir.
Do you now wish to enter your plea of guilty to counts 1 and 2?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Cabrales, you're represented by Mr. Jose Guzman, who is participating in this hearing via the Zoom platform. Have you had enough time to discuss your case with Mr. Guzman?
Yes.
Do you believe that Mr. Guzman has spent an appropriate amount of time preparing for your case?
Yes,
Are you satisfied with his representation?
definitely.
I'm sure he appreciates that. Is there anything else you'd like to say? You're not required to say anything, but this is your opportunity if you wish.
No.
Mr. Guzman, is the sentence recommendation that we heard from Ms. Flournoy the same sentence that you negotiated for your client?
It is, Your Honor.
Have you had enough time to prepare for this hearing today?
Yes, sir.
The time that you've spent in preparation with Ms. Cabrales, 1, do you believe she understands her constitutional rights? And 2, do you believe that she has and she is making a knowing, intelligent, free and voluntary decision to enter her guilty plea?
Yes, sir, to both questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Other than to ask the court to follow the recommendation, is there anything further you'd like to say from Ms. Cabrales?
Your Honor, just regarding the fine, if I can place Ms. Leonard perhaps on the spot, if she could tell us what the fine amount will be with the penalty. Ms. Cabrales is ready to pay that fine in full. We just need the exact amount so she can get it paid appropriately.
The total amount of that fine is going to be $930.
Is that even, Ms. Leonard, 930?
It is an even $930, and I believe that she'll have to pay a $50 crime lab fee with the probation office before she can go unsupervised.
Yes, that's correct.
So that will add an additional $50 to that $930.
All right. Thank you. All right. Ms. Cabrales, the court finds that you understand the nature of the crimes and the consequences of a guilty plea. The court finds that there is a factual basis to support your guilty plea. The court finds that you understand your constitutional rights as advised by the court and also with the assistance of Mr. Guzman. And the court makes a further finding that you have and you are making a knowing, intelligent, free, and voluntary decision to enter this guilty plea, which I will accept. And because I have your paperwork in front of me, I see that you have signed the charging instrument. So I will accept your guilty plea and sentence you in accordance with the recommendation. So I do accept your guilty plea, Ms. Cabrales, and I sentence you as follows. Count 1, possession of a controlled substance, a felony, 2 years probation. Count 2, obstruction of an officer, in this case a misdemeanor, 12 months probation concurrent to count 1. Special conditions of probation will be that you pay a $500 fine plus statutory penalties and add-ons, and also $50 crime lab fee, and your rights under the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution are waived while you're on probation. As soon as you have paid your fines, fees, and the crime lab fee, your probation will be on an unsupervised basis. So it's to your advantage to pay those as soon as you can. You will need to report to the community supervision office. However, do we have a community supervision officer on the Zoom conference?
Yes, I'm on, Judge.
All right, where should Ms. Cabrales report and when?
She should report at 1334 2nd Avenue, Columbus, Georgia, 31901. And she can report in today after she's sentenced. And I sent her a chat so I can get some information from her as well.
All right. Did you hear and understand that, Ms. Cabrales?
If I can, Ms. Cabrales is actually out of the state, which is why we had the supervision done like we did. If she could report by phone initially, because she's across the country at this time, that would be helpful. Ms. Lyles, can she do that?
I will speak to my supervisor to see how we will handle that.
If you would just let them know that it's not that I'm just over here for no reason. I have a job here and I'm like work Monday through Friday and I have primary custody of my son. So
she is a resident of the other state. She happened to be here when this all occurred. But
so where is she?
It's California?
Yes, California.
Okay.
All right. All right. Mr. Guzman, Ms. Cabrales, you'll need to do whatever the Department of Community Supervision requires. The officer is going to talk with her supervisor and see if she can accommodate your request.
Okay.
Okay. So I believe I've completed your sentence. Fourth Amendment waiver. Having successfully entered your guilty plea to counts 1 and 2, and on the state's motion, count 3, possession of drug-related objects, a misdemeanor, will be null prost. Did you hear and understand the advisement regarding your rights to appeal and your habeas corpus rights?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, good luck to you, Ms. Cabrales. That concludes the hearing today. You can go ahead and drop off of the Zoom call and just talk to Mr. Guzman. Make sure that you have a clear understanding about what you must do to satisfy the Department of Community Supervision. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And also just be on the lookout by email for that one form that I'm going to send you. If you could send that back as soon as you get it and sign it.
Okay, I will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's excuse me for just a moment. All right, I'm back with you now. Mr. Guzman, which client would you like to have come forward first?
Hey, Judge Smith, it's Officer Lyles. Can I say something right quick?
Certainly.
I spoke with my supervisor. The only way Miss Cabrales can stay in California is if she's sentenced to unsupervised now, because if not, she would have to return back to Georgia.
Did you hear that, Mr. Guzman?
I heard that. It sounds like the unwieldy department has not quite caught up with pandemic times, but she can certainly, what we can do is if the court wants to just go ahead and sentence her to unsupervised, she has the money ready to go. We just don't have a trust fund to put the money into. Otherwise, I would have just had a trust fund check ready to go and pay today. But I can direct her to and she's off the call now, but I can direct her to pay that, and send it to me immediately, and I'll get it. Or see, I can't get it because we don't have a trust fund. And so she was just going to send it directly to either the clerk or whoever receives the fines in order to. That's why we talked about unsupervised probation.
I think she can send it to you with it addressed to the clerk, so you don't have to deposit it, and then you can forward it to the clerk if that's okay. But if we're gonna do purely unsupervised, I would ask that we put it down for another court date, Your Honor, because the unsupervised was to come after the payment, and so I'm concerned about the payment with her. That was part of our negotiation, is that the payment was required for the unsupervised, and it was an effort to try to accommodate them. But I believe, excuse me, I think it would be more appropriate to set it down for a later date for her to come. In the event that it's not paid, we would have some follow-up.
Well, I think so too. And I understand that we are in a pandemic time, but with the negotiations along with that should have come some arrangement to have the funds here available today for payment if she wanted to ask for unsupervised. So I'm going to withdraw the sentence in this case, put it down for April the 6th, have the funds. If she can give you a money order appropriately made out, then I may be able to take it up again by Zoom, and those funds can be paid and she can be put on unsupervised probation from the very beginning. But the sentence is withdrawn and she'll be reset for April the 6th, Mr. Guzman.
Sounds good, Judge.
All right, thank you.
Who should she make that money order payable to? Superior Court Clerk?
Yes, Mr. Guzman, it needs to be made to the clerk of Superior Court.
Is that true also for the crime lab fee?
Well, if she's going to be, I believe, and you may need to ask the probation office, if she's going to go straight unsupervised, I don't think there needs to be a crime lab fee. But
Officer Lyles.
Hey, Judge, she can still go on unsupervised if she has not made that payment.
Well, I can waive that. Listen, no, I cannot waive the crime lab fee. I can waive the public defender.
Pay it. I'm sorry, Judge. She can still pay it after she's on unsupervised. We can give her the JPay information and she can pay it through JPay.
All right. Okay, we'll take that up again on April the 6th. But Mr. Guzman, let her know that I've withdrawn the sentence in the case, and we'll see her again on April the 6th. Thank you. All right. Let's take up Yasmin Coronado.
Your Honor, this is the case of State of Georgia versus Yasmin Coriano. SU 20 CR 1401. It's a 5 counts.
Can you
Count one
suspend
is-
for just, can you suspend for just a second? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Flournoy. Go right ahead.
Okay, count one is possession of a controlled substance. And the controlled substance was a Schedule 4. It was a pill called Nazepam. We will be no processing that count, Your Honor. The defendant has provided a valid prescription for that. Count 2 is driving while license suspended. Our recommendation is 12 months probation, serve 2 days in the county jail. Count 3 is a tag light violation, 12 months probation concurrent with count 1. Count 4 is the turn signal violation. That will be no pros. Count 5 is drugs not in the original container. That also will be no pros. The special conditions are a $500 fine on count 1 and 40 hours of community service. The factual basis for this particular case, Your Honor, is that on December the 28th, 2018, an officer observed a 2002 white GMC Yukon without a working tail light on Floyd Road near Forest Road in Muskogee County, Columbus, Georgia. So they initiated a traffic stop. During that traffic stop, it was determined that the defendant did not have a valid driver's license. Her driver's license in the state of Georgia, as well as the state of Illinois, was suspended, and she was taken into custody. And during a search of her purse, it was found an unmarked pill bottle containing the pills in it, and the charges was made as a result of that. And Your Honor, this is also a case that is being handled by the Public Defender's Office based on my previous employment with the Public Defender's Office. But it's my understanding that this case was the Public Defender's Office made an entry in this case after my employment with that office, just for the court's information.
All right. Thank you for that. To the extent that there might be a conflict, Mr. Guzman, do you and your client waive that conflict?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. Thank you. Ms. Carno, tell me how you pronounce your name.
Yasmin Coriano.
Coriano. All right. Ms. Coriano, did you hear and understand the sentence recommendation from the district attorney?
Yes, sir.
Are you in agreement with that recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Other than the recommendation, has anyone offered, promised, or given you anything in exchange for your guilty plea?
Yes, sir.
Has anyone used any force or any threat of force against you to secure your guilty plea?
Yes, sir.
Have you been asked to read or sign anything in connection with your case that you do not understand?
No, sir.
Have you ever been treated for a mental illness?
No, sir.
This morning, are you under the influence of alcohol, drugs, narcotics, or any medication?
No, sir.
Are you clear-headed about what you're doing in court today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Upon the successful plea to the two misdemeanor charges, Mr. Guzman, the state intends to move to null pros the felony and the two other misdemeanors. Is Ms. Coronado eligible to be sentenced as a first offender? And if so, does she wish to avail herself of such a sentence with misdemeanor charges?
Your Honor, Ms. Coriano does not wish to avail herself of first offender.
All right, thank you. Ms. Coriano, do you freely and voluntarily admit your guilt to the charges you face?
Yes, sir.
Do you admit the facts as alleged by the district attorney in this case?
Yes, sir.
Do you now wish to enter your plea of guilty?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Ms. Coriano, you're represented by Mr. Jose Guzman. Have you had enough time to discuss your case with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Is there anything you'd like to say? You're not required to say anything, but this is your opportunity.
No, sir.
Okay, that was no?
Speak up.
Okay, all right. Mr. Guzman, is the sentence recommendation that we heard from Ms. Flournoy the same sentence that you negotiated for your client?
It is, Your Honor.
Have you had enough time to prepare for this hearing today?
Yes, sir.
In the time that you spent in preparation on this case, do you believe that Ms. Coronado understands her constitutional rights?
Yes, sir.
Do you believe that your client has and is making a knowing, intelligent, free, and voluntary decision to enter the guilty plea?
I do, Your Honor.
All right. Other than to ask the court to follow the recommendation, is there anything further you'd like to say on her behalf?
Your Honor, just regarding the time, she did spend some time at the jail when she was initially arrested. My understanding is she'd already served as a result, she would have already served that time, which is the 2 days at the county jail, under the sentence. And I had explained that to her, and I believe the intention was that this was going to be a credit for time served sentence. And I just wanted to make sure that the court was aware that she had spent some time over at the jail.
And Your Honor, the state concurs with that also.
Well,
That is
thank
our
you.
understanding. She had served the time.
Thank you. That was certainly worthwhile pointing out, Mr. Guzman. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, Ms. Yasmin Coronos, the court finds that you understand the nature of the crime and the consequences of a guilty plea. The court finds that there is a factual basis for your guilty plea. The court finds that you understand your constitutional rights as advised by the court and also with the assistance of Mr. Guzman. And the court makes a further finding that you have and you are making a knowing, intelligent, free, and voluntary decision to enter this guilty plea. And because I have the paperwork in front of me, I see that you and your attorney have already signed the charging instrument. I will accept your guilty plea, and I do accept your guilty plea and sentence you as follows. Count 2, driving while license suspended, a misdemeanor, 12 months probation, served 2 days in the Muskogee County Jail. Credit for time served. This is a time served sentence. Count 3, tag light violation, a misdemeanor, 12 months probation, concurrent with count 1. Having special conditions are that you will pay a $500 fine plus statutory penalties and add-ons and perform 40 hours of community service. Having successfully entered a guilty plea to counts 2 and 3, and on the state's motion, counts 1, possession of controlled substance felony, count 4, turn signal violation, a misdemeanor, and count 5, drugs not an original container, a misdemeanor, will be null clause. That is the sentence of the court. Do you understand the sentence, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you hear and understand the advisement regarding your habeas corpus rights earlier?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear and understand the advisement regarding your right to file an appeal?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anything further? Okay. All right. You'll need to report to the Georgia Probation Services, since these are misdemeanor probations. Mr. Brown, are you there?
Yes, Judge, I am. If she will report to the office on Monday between 2 and 4, the office address is 430 First Avenue, Columbus, 31901.
Did you hear that, Ms. Coronos?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, thank you. Good luck to you in completing your probation successfully, and you're free to leave. All right, we're going to suspend guilty pleas for just a moment. We need Mr. John Morris to be brought into the courtroom.
John Morris. Thank you.
No, you're fine.
You're my lady.
I know mine been cracking. I got like cracking bird. 58, I see one.
Hey, John. I'm good, honey. Because, sir.
I'm just gonna make that announcement.
All right. Mr. Johnson, do you have John Morris standing there with you this morning?
I do, Judge. I've been speaking with Mr. Morris as standby counsel. One of the things that I informed Mr. Morris is that I would anticipate that the court is going to continue his 404B motion in regards to today. I anticipate it's probably going to be continued until April time frame. He has no objection to that. I would like to make the court aware of one thing, though, Judge, in regards to the recent Dukes decision that was just outlined by the Georgia Supreme Court, which is one, suffice it to say, Judge, I'll just sum it up briefly, but it states that an individual that was indigent is therefore allowed to have access to state funds for an expert. From my understanding, Mr. Morris had filed a request with this court for an expert back in December of 2018, right? And he would like to, he wants to renew that. I don't know if the court wants us to give that actual applicable case law, or if the court wants us to file a motion, but that he would like to actually renew that, Your Honor.
All right. Do this. You're acting as standby counsel for Mr. Morris. If you're going to do that, help him to prepare a written motion, serve it on the district attorney so that we don't just surprise Ms. Flournoy this morning with this motion. And then let's set it down for a hearing on that motion. We can also take up the motion to suppress in the state's 404B motion on April the 7th.
Judge,
is that agreeable, Mr. Johnson and Ms. Flournoy?
Well, Judge, I would like to, if possible. I don't want to bog the court down. I'm not necessarily sure that the court needs to be involved in that. I think that Mr. Morris needs to at least initially make the request through GPDC. And then in the event that they, for some reason, deny him, then we would seek some redress. But I would just at least like to have him make that request through GPDC first. And that's what me and Mr. Morris have discussed, at least initially.
Okay. All right. Do you want me to set down the other motions in the case for April 7th, or allow you to have some time to see if you can get the money for the expert witness before we take up those motions?
What would be the date after April 7th, Your Honor? Is there?
May the 10th.
We'll go ahead, out of the abundance of caution, Judge, we'll go ahead and do the 10th of May.
All right. All right. We'll schedule the motions that may still be pending or may become pending for May the 10th. Ms. Leonard, if you would take care of that. Ms. Leonard, are you there?
I am, Judge. Did you want that on a non-jury day, or?
Is that a non-jury day? No,
we have non-jury.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. What do we have in May? Was it May 25th?
We have May 6th, May 7th, the 25th, and 26th.
All right, let's set Mr. Morris's motions down for May the 26th.
Okay.
All right. All right, Mr. Morris can go back. We will hear these motions and then it'll appear on another trial docket. Thank you. Mr. Johnson, does that conclude your business?
It does, Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Have a good weekend. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, let's have Mr. Rodriguez come up to the podium for the purposes of his guilty plea. Okay.
Your Honor, this is a case of the state of Georgia versus James Rodriguez, SU 19 CR 1164. It is a one count of possession of a controlled substance, which is methamphetamine. The recommendation is 2 years probation. Special conditions are $750 fine, 40 hours community service, a Fourth Amendment waiver, and it is my understanding that Mr. Rodriguez is seeking the sentence under the First Offender Act. Your Honor, the facts in this court cases are on March 2nd, 2019. The officers was conducting a random tag check in the area of Vista Drive in in Vista Drive in Muskogee County, Columbus, Georgia. And the vehicle which Mr. Rodriguez was in had a suspended registration. So there was a traffic stop as a result of that. During that stop, Mr. Rodriguez was acting somewhat nervous. The officer asked him if he had any weapons, and he said that he did have a knife. He attempted to grab it, but the officer, out of caution, asked him not to, and if it was okay if he got the knife out of his pocket. In the process of getting the knife out of the pocket, there was a small baggage containing what was believed to be methamphetamine at that time. Based on the crime lab report, it is less than 2 grams, and he was placed under arrest for the possession of methamphetamine.
All right, thank you. And your recommendation is 2 years probation on
Yes,
the felony and special conditions consisting of a $750 fine plus statutory penalties and add-ons, 40 hours of community service, and a Fourth Amendment waiver. Is that correct, Ms. Flournoy?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rodriguez, a couple of questions for you. Were you in the courtroom earlier this morning when I advised you and the other defendants of your constitutional rights?
Yes, sir.
Were you able to hear and understand what was being said?
Yes, Your Honor, all the way.
Good, good. Did you also raise your right hand and take an oath to tell the truth?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor, I did.
Thank you. You're still under oath, and I'll have a few questions for you as we go through your guilty plea. The first question would be this. Did you hear the recommendation from the district attorney for the sentence, and are you in agreement with that recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Other than the recommendation, has anyone offered, promised, or given you anything in exchange for your guilty plea?
No, Your Honor.
Has anyone used any force or any threat of force against you to secure your guilty plea?
No, Your Honor.
Have you been asked to read or sign anything in connection with your case that you do not understand?
No, Your Honor.
Have you ever been treated for a mental illness?
No, Your Honor.
This morning, are you under the influence of alcohol, drugs, narcotics, or any medication?
Absolutely not, Your Honor.
Are you clear-headed about what you're doing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I understand that you are eligible for and you are seeking to be sentenced as a first offender. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Have you read or had read to you the Georgia First Offender Act benefits and consequences disclosure form.
Yes, sir.
You understand that there are some risks associated with first offender sentencing. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir. I do.
All right. And you would still like to be sentenced as a first offender, correct?
Yes, sir, please.
I intend to. But I'm sure Mr. Guzman has told you this is a one-time only benefit. So make sure that you abide by the terms of your probation and you do not reoffend.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mr. Rodriguez, do you freely and voluntarily admit your guilt to the charge you face?
Yes, sir.
Do you admit the facts as alleged by the district attorney?
I do.
Do you now wish to enter your plea of guilty?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Rodriguez, you're represented by Mr. Jose Guzman, who joins us this morning via the Zoom communication platform. Have you had enough time to discuss your case with your attorney?
I have. Yes, sir.
Are you satisfied with the representation you've received from Mr. Guzman?
Definitely. Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Is there anything you'd like to say? You're not required to, but this is your opportunity if you wish.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Guzman, is a sentence recommendation that we heard from Ms. Flournoy the same sentence that you negotiated for Mr. Rodriguez?
It is, Your Honor.
Have you had enough time to prepare for this hearing today?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe your client understands his constitutional rights?
I do, Your Honor.
And do you believe that he is and he has made a knowing, intelligent, free, and voluntary decision to enter his guilty plea?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything other than to ask the court to follow the recommendation that you'd like to say on behalf of Mr. Rodriguez?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Flournoy, do you need to make any disclosure about your previous employment with the Public Defender's Office in connection with this case? You're muted, Ms. Flournoy. Ms. Flournoy, you're muted.
Did it again.
You're still muted.
Okay. Yes, Your Honor. I forgot to make the disclosure on this case also. But it is my understanding that the Public Defender's Office made an entry in this case after my employment, but just so the court would know for that information.
All right. Mr. Guzman, to the extent there may be any conflict in this case, do you and Mr. Rodriguez waive that conflict so that Ms. Flournoy can prosecute the case?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you for that. All right. Because Mr. James.
Yes, sir.
Rodriguez, the court finds that you understand the nature of the crime and the consequences of a guilty plea. The court finds that there is a factual basis to support the charge against you and your guilty plea to that charge. The court finds that you understand your constitutional rights, both as advised by the court and with the assistance of your counsel, Mr. Guzman. And the court makes a further finding that you have and you are making a knowing, intelligent, free, and voluntary decision to enter this guilty plea, which I will accept because I do have your paperwork in front of me, and I see that both you and Mr. Guzman have, well, don't let me speak too quickly here, but yes, you and Mr. Guzman have both signed the charging instrument. So I do accept your guilty plea, and I sentence you as follows. Count 1, possession of a controlled substance, 2 years probation, special conditions, pay a fine of $750, perform 40 hours of community service, and your rights under the 4th Amendment to the United States Constitution are waived while you're on probation. This sentence is imposed under the provisions of the Georgia First Offender Act. Do you have any questions, Mr. Rodriguez?
No, sir. No, Your Honor, I don't.
All right. Did you hear earlier today your rights regarding a habeas corpus petition?
Yes.
Did you hear and understand earlier today the advisement regarding your rights to file an appeal?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, good luck to you, sir.
Thank you.
And not reoffending, not coming back before this court. And then when your probation is complete, the Department of Community Supervision will present an order to me to discharge you in this case. And you'll be able to truthfully say you do not have a felony conviction on your record. All right, thank you. You're free to leave. Oh, just a moment.
What about the
Officer Lyles, are you still on the Zoom?
Yes, I'm here.
You want to give some instructions to Mr. Rodriguez about reporting to your office?
Sure. Please report to 1334 2nd Avenue, Columbus, Georgia 31901. Report within 5 business days, but you can report in now if you want. It's close by.
Okay, 1331, ma'am?
1334.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Thank you. You're now free to leave, Mr. Rodriguez. That seems to complete our guilty plea docket. And we've already heard Mr. John Morris's, he's already come before the court. We just took care of Mr. Rodriguez. The next case is State of Georgia versus Anthony Dowdell.
I represent Mr. Anthony Dowdell. I've attempted contact and have not been successful contacting Mr. Dowdell, unless he happens to be at the jail. I mean, at the recorder's court.
Want me to go? I'll call her. I mean,
Let's call for Mr. Dowdell.
We calling him now, y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Anthony Dowdell? No response.
No response, Your Honor.
Does the state have a motion?
Yeah, the state will move for bench warrant and bond forfeiture.
All right. Mr. Guzman?
Yes.
Okay.
On the states, be a judge, so I don't have any response.
All right, thank you. Well, I always like to ask. All right, on the state's motion, the bond is forfeited and the bench warrant will issue, and we will recall this case before we adjourn for the day.
Also, just
next case
for the court. Oh, sorry, for the court's information on Mr. Dowdell. Also, I believe he's on the trial docket for Monday. So I just so you know, I have not had any contact with him.
All right, thank you. Perhaps the Muskogee County Sheriff's Office can help in locating Mr. Dowdell.
Yes, sir.
Next case is Kamaka Fisher. Status conference.
Right, Ms. Fisher is, I don't know if she's over at the recorder's court, but she's also another individual I used to have contact with, and I have since lost contact with her. So, and she is also on the trial docket for Monday. So I've contacted her about both today and Monday without success.
Let's sound for Ms. Fisher at the jail, at the recorder's court.
No response, Your Honor.
Thank you. Does the state have a motion?
Your Honor, the state will move for a bench warrant and bond forfeiture.
All right. Yeah, Mr. Guzman, you just said you've had no contact with her in a while. All right. On the state's motion, the bond is forfeited and a bench warrant will issue for Ms. Fisher. Number 5, Karishma Smith. Mr. Jarrett.
That's my case, Your Honor. Your Honor, with that case, I know I was talking to Mr. Barreau, and he had mentioned something about maybe doing dropping it to a misdemeanor. Then, of course, he no longer works here, and it's kind of been bouncing around through ADA. So I was going to get with Ms. Flanor and see if we could get this one back on the calendar on the your next available date, Your Honor.
All right. Is that agreeable, Ms. Flournoy?
Yeah, The state has no objection to a continuance, Your Honor.
All right, it will be continued until April the 6th, Mr. Jarrett.
Thank you so much, Your Honor.
You're welcome. The next case is Shawnwa Love, status conference.
That's correct, Your Honor. I represent Ms. Shauna Love. We did have contact with her, and she asked me to inform the court that she wants to stand on her plea of not guilty. So there's nothing to be done today for the status conference.
All right, thank you. It'll appear on trial docket. Number 7, Charles Duffy, status conference.
Yes, sir. Your Honor, I represent Mr. Duffy. Mr. Ray Lakes has been working with Mr. Duffy on a retroactive first offender. I believe I mentioned this to you at the last docket call on Mr. Duffy. He is also on for Monday, the trial calendar on Monday. However, Mr. Lakes has had to stop. He has an emergency leave, so he's not able to complete any retroactive first offender paperwork, on Mr. Duffy in the other county. So he's working on that. What I would ask the court is to see if we could pass Mr. Duffy's case to allow Mr. Lakes some additional time to attempt to complete that retroactive first offender, because that would take care of of course, this particular charge.
All right, that's correct.
Your Honor, the state will not object to a continuance if the court grants it.
All right, we'll do that. I'm going to set it for a date sufficiently far in the future that Mr. Lakes and Mr. Duffy can complete their work on the retroactive first offender. I'm going to set it down for May the 26th.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And number 8, well, let's see. We're about at our hard stop, but that's Blake Johnson, Mr. Adams.
Clark. Yes, sir. Clark Adams from Mr. Johnson. He's right here beside me. He maintains his not guilty plea. And as far as I know, this case is not on Monday's trial docket. I just entered a little over a week ago, so it's possible I could have missed it, but it's my understanding it is not on Monday's trial docket.
All right, I can't tell you. I can't tell you at this moment, but you might check with Ms. Barker when you get off the Zoom.
Yes.
And it will come off because he's maintaining his guilty plea. It will come off the status conference docket for today. I can't say whether it's on the trial docket or not. All right. Well, let's see if number 9 is Whitley Thial.
Yes, Your Honor, that's my case. She's 9 and 14. I've had no contact with her. She is on the trial docket for Monday. I don't know if she specifically had notice. Well, she wouldn't have specifically had notice for today. So if the state wants a bench warrant, I just ask that they wait till Monday to see if she shows up on the trial docket, since she's not had actual notice to appear today.
Is that agreeable, Ms. Flournoy? We'll call through the docket Monday morning at 9 o'clock.
Your Honor, that's fine.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Dillon. Chorus B. Williams is in position 10. Mr. Jackson has leave. This case will be reset for April the 6th for a status conference. Number 11, Kenya Carter.
That is my case as well, Your Honor. And again, the same announcement. I was talking to Mr. Barreau on this one. I've just met Ms. Lenore last week, and I have to give her over affidavit, and hopefully she can give me an offer before the next court date.
Okay. If barring any objection from the state, I'll continue this until April 6th.
No objection from the state, Your Honor.
All right, it's continued until April the 6th.
Thank you.
Case number 12, Lindsay Cannon. Mr. Jackson's case, that case will need to be reset. We'll reset it for April the 6th. Let's see. Number 13, Michael Davila. Mr. Guzman.
Yes, sir. I represent Mr. Davila. If we could reschedule that for April 6th, I don't have a plea offer just yet, but I do expect it to be a plea. And so once we get that plea paperwork, I can get that ready for April 6th if the court can do it.
No objection to a continuance from the state, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Flanoy. It'll be continued until April the 6th. We've already dealt with number 14, Whitley Theol. Number 15, James Davis. Mr. Guzman.
Yes, sir. It's the same announcement on Mr. Davis. If we could move him to the 6th of April. We don't have a plea offer. There's nothing we can do today on the status conference.
Do you agree, Ms. Flournoy?
Yes, Your Honor, we would agree.
Is continued to April 6th. And then finally, the last case is position 16, Larry Brown, represented by Stacy Jackson, who's in trial. So it will be continued until April the 6th also. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I think we've gone through all of our dockets. Is there anything else for us this morning?
I believe you're correct, Your Honor.
Okay.
Only, Your Honor, if you want to, the only thing would be if you want to call back those the bench warrants.
Okay, that's a very good point, Ms. Little. What are those names? I don't have a list from you.
Yes, because we haven't taken a break, but there was Mandy Tolan that was from the arraignment. I'm sorry, from the guilty plea dockets was Mandy Tolan.
Mandy, just and who else?
We had two. I thought we had
Rodney McCarter from the arraignment docket.
McCarter.
McCarter, yes.
All right. And who was the third?
Where's my arraignment docket? Oh, here it is. I'm sorry. I found it. Yes, Rodney McCarter. And then you have from the Motions and Status Conference, Anthony Dowdell and Carmoika Fisher.
All right. At the Recorder's Court, please sound for Mandy Tolan, McCarter, Dowdell, and Fisher.
Your Honor, the jail's muted.
At the jail, did you hear?
Yes, sir. No
Yes.
response, nobody's here.
No response on those 4 names. We just
All
sound.
right, then thank you, Deputy. Appreciate that. The bench warrants and forfeitures are sustained. That completes our business this morning. I hope you all have a safe and healthy weekend. Those who are on the trial docket, we'll see Monday morning in the courtroom at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're adjourned.
That's it.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
You too.
Thank you.